Welcome, brainstormers, to the Property Management Brainstorm Show. I'm Bob Preston, your host, and I'm broadcasting today from our studio at North County Property Group in Del Mar, California. If you're new here, please subscribe so you get access to all of our ongoing episodes. And if you like what you hear, man, we would really love to get your positive review. So, as landlords and property managers, have you ever experienced what I call a blackout at your rental home when you show up to the property and the electricity is not on or the utilities are out simply because someone forgot to work on transferring the utilities to the tenant's name for move-in? Or worse yet, you move the tenant in only to find that you're still getting the bill a month later because they never put the utilities into their name or transferred the utilities properly. I have with me as a guest on today's show, Peter Hernandez, who's Vice President of Citzen Home Solutions. And his company provides a concierge service to handle the details of setting up utilities at move-in and to make sure that this happens right every time. So have a listen. I think you'll enjoy the episode. Peter, welcome to Property Management Brainstorm.
Hey, well, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure. Looking forward to spending some time with you.
Yeah, I am eager to hear about your background and the company. So maybe that's a good place to start. Just tell us about yourself and about Citzen Home Solutions.
Absolutely. So I'm Peter Hernandez, Vice President over at Citzen Home Solutions. We're a free utility concierge service specific to the property management industry. And the company's been around for about going on 5 years now. We did start in Texas. Texas is home to us. So our headquarters is there in Dallas, and so naturally this was our first market. Didn't really know how far it would go, but yeah, now we are covering the entire country. So it's a utility concierge service meant to help residents in property management to set up utilities across the board. We've, like I said, we've been in business for about 5 years. We're very active within the NARPM circle. A great organization to be a part of, and we're happy to be involved in many levels with that organization and the many great partners that we have across the industry.
Well, I've been waiting for you to get to California. The first time I checked you guys out, you weren't in California yet. So, I'm in San Diego area. When did you expand beyond Texas? And for example, when did you get into California and maybe some of the other states?
Sure. So Wes Owens, he's our one of the owners and founders of the company. And like I said, he started here in Texas for about the first year and a half or so. Didn't really know if they could develop a footprint across the country, and so I came into the picture shortly after that, and had already established some relationships across NARPM and across the country. So I'd say within the year and a half mark, maybe 2 year mark of the company being around. So we've literally only been servicing the entire country for the last maybe two and a half years or so. Yeah. So, and we're definitely in California now. Yeah.
And how did you get into the business? How did Wes is the founder, right? How did Wes bring you in? How did that happen?
So that's an interesting story. So we, like I said, I've been around the industry for a while now, probably a good 10 years or so. And I was in a whole different industry, or a different vendor industry, affiliate industry, if you will. Worked with a different company at the time, but that company also catered to the property management industry and had great relationships with NARPM and all of its members. So that's how I got to know a lot of our partners and just long relationships now throughout the years. Yeah.
So you had the mental Rolodex, if you will, to be able to reach out. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's cool. And I'm glad to hear your comments about NARPM. I don't know if you know this, but I'm the president of CalNARPM this year.
And very nice. Very nice.
It's pretty interesting to be involved at the state level, which is, California is an interesting state to be involved in. So eager to talk to you about that maybe offline at some point. Sure. All right. So explain to me what that is. Concierge, I'm probably going to muff your description here, but concierge utility service is, I think, kind of how you described it. So
Yeah,
maybe you can
absolutely.
say that again and tell us what exactly that means.
Concierge utility service, absolutely. So we try to best way to explain it is we always like to refer to ourselves as an extension of our partners and their business, property managers, right? So uh, we like to say that we like to handle the move-in experience for all of the residents or tenants for property managers. So utility concierge means that we're here to assist in every way, shape, or form, assist that resident as they're moving into their new home. And I always like to think about it as, in this industry, we travel a lot, right? So we all have been to a hotel where someone comes up to us and welcomes us, and maybe will ask us if they can take our bags or if they can valet our vehicle or whatever it might be. And so it's their job to enhance that welcome, right? To enhance that experience as you're getting there. And so we like to definitely think of ourselves as not as a utility provider in any way or a utility setup company, but more of a concierge service. So we're there to assist and enhance that move-in experience for the resident. Yeah,
Kind of what can I do to help your move-in go more smoothly?
exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
And so the focus is on utilities. What utilities are we talking about here? Which ones?
So the utilities are made up of the basic, the ones that every resident will absolutely need when they move into their new home, which is water, gas, electricity. And those make up the foundation of the concierge service, if you will.
Yeah,
That makes up
gotta have power, gotta have water. The other stuff might be optional. Although
exactly.
trash is pretty important too, I guess.
It is too. It is as well. Yeah. So those are the definitely the ones that are the main or focus or the foundation of the concierge service. And then we expand into other services like internet, cable, security, satellite, and so forth. So any services that resident may either need or want for their new home.
So I kind of joked around in the intro to this episode where I spoke of arriving at a property to move a tenant in, and there's a blackout, only to find that, God, the tenant never really put the utilities in their name, and this kind of stuff happens, right? Somebody forgets to do it. Maybe the tenant forgot to do it, or maybe it didn't get done. So what would be great is if you could walk us through a scenario. Pretend that I'm a tenant, okay?
Okay.
And we don't have to role play here. It's not going to go that far, but you can
Sure.
just walk us through the scenario. I'm a tenant and I've just signed a lease with North County Property Group. That's my property management company. And just
Yeah.
kind of explain how it works. I mean, what happens now if I'm a tenant?
Absolutely. So again, keep in mind, or let's focus on that piece of the experience for that resident, right? So you're moving into your new home. Your property management company has already provided us your contact information and has already given you some information about us. Has basically made a soft introduction of
So that's
what
good to
CA.
know. So I'm expecting your call, I guess, at this point.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, and we love it. We absolutely love that because that soft introduction on our behalf from the property manager to the resident does exactly that. We get it every day where the resident is actually expecting our phone call or expecting some kind of communication. And so your property management company has given us the information, has already told you as the resident that they've got this great utility concierge service that's going to be reaching out to you to assist you with all your utilities. As soon as we receive your information from your property management company, we'll do a couple of things. You'll receive an email and you'll receive a text message. And again, if we focus on the experience, this first communication, that email and that text message, will welcome you to your new home. So basically, it'll say, "Hey, Bob, welcome to your new home. We're Citzen Home Solutions, and we're here to assist you in setting up your utilities."
Oh, cool.
So it's part of that welcome package, if you will, right? That greeting and making you feel welcome to your new place, and then right away you'll have a way to set up a phone call with us. So in that text message and in that email, you'll have a way to set up a call with us. You can hit a link, schedule a call on a day and time that's convenient to you. The other thing that happens is, let's just say you missed that phone, you missed that email, or you missed that text message. You've been at work all day. Within an hour and a half of receiving your information, our agent assigned to you will reach out through a phone call and do the same thing. Basically, welcome you to your new place, um, let you know that we're here to assist you, ask you if you'd like to use our services to set up, and we'll go down the list. And we can either do it right there and then while we've got you on the phone, or we can just schedule a call for a later day and a later time. And so we try to make it easy and we try to make it pleasant, so that we're not calling and say, hey, we need to set up your utilities. We're welcoming you, we're greeting you, and we're letting you know that we're here to assist you. And what would be a good day and a good time for us to do that?
Yeah, no, that's interesting. It's got to be done friendly way, because it's not like, well,
Absolutely.
required in your lease is that you put these utilities in your name. We're here to make sure you have that done properly. You know, that could be a little
Yeah,
ominous, right? You don't want to
that
come
could
off
be.
like
Yeah.
that. Here in the San Diego area, we have one gas and electric company. You know, so that's pretty easy. I'm sure in other cities or metros, it's carved up a little bit. The area where it gets complicated is cable services, you know, Wi-Fi, the connection of those sorts of things and trash and water. Water is very carved up by zip code. So how do
Yeah.
you navigate all that? I mean, how is that done, and how do you find the right, I guess, service to match the tenant zip
Sure.
code where they happen to be moving in?
Sure. So what we like to, as we have a discussion and an discovery call or onboarding call, if you will, with the property manager, we like to ask them. Sometimes you all have a list of existing providers for the area, or a list of providers for a specific property. Now, you don't have to have it. If you have it, it's very helpful. But again, we're the concierge service, right? So what we do is, once we receive your residence information, then we have a team in place that starts researching what services are available for that property. And you're absolutely right. There's definitely going to be some markets where there may not be any options. There might just be one company that takes care of water, or one company that takes care of gas, and that's it. And if
Sure.
that's the case, then we let the resident know that there isn't, unfortunately, any other options for that service. But when there is options, then, like, again, our team will research those options, look at pricing for the different provider, and when we're having that phone call with that resident, again, we're not just, because we're not the service provider, so we don't have a magic button in our office that we hit, and that water or that
Right.
electricity or comes on. Uh, but we let them know that we've researched the property and we've found some options, and so therefore, would you like to spend a couple of minutes to go over those options and see what the pricing is? So we're there to also educate them on any options that are available, and help them make some good decisions based on their lifestyle, based on how many people are living at the home, how many devices are being used, let's just say for internet purposes, how many devices are being used in the property. So we go through the different scenarios, and again, we're educating them and kind of helping them make an informative decision based on the options that we present to them.
Yeah, that could get kind of complicated too. I mean, like, I'm just thinking of AT&T Uverse or something like that, or DirecTV, because there are different packages. You guys get into
Absolutely.
that double click, like really dig down into, hey, premium channels and what do you want and your service and all those kind of things?
Absolutely. So, and I'm not going to take any credit for any of that, because and
Yeah.
I tell my team at the office, I could never do what they do, but they absolutely do get into the weeds with that, the different options, and they know they're very up to date with the different packages, the pricings, and all of that, so that they can effectively communicate that to the resident. So, uh, um, the resident doesn't just feel like they're being told what internet package or what cable package they have to sign up to, right? So we're here to present the options and help you choose and then set up whichever option you decide.
Yeah, you don't want to come off. I mean, if anyone's ever been on the phone with AT&T or DirecTV
Exactly.
or Spectrum or whatever, they can be pretty pushy, right? Trying to get you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, couple other questions. So
Sure.
sometimes I think deposits are required, or maybe there's
Mhm.
some sort of an application that needs to be filled out. Do you assist in that process as well with the tenant?
So we do, and here's we like to say, because we can always help a resident. We can always help them, even in situations like those where the provider may require a deposit, or believe it or not, there's still municipalities out there that require for the resident to walk into an office and drop off a physical application for a service. So we can always help. There is in some instances some limitation as to how much we can do, but there's very few. So providing that the as long as the service provider has an online application and an online portal, we can always submit a request for service for that property, and help the resident that way. The only scenario where we wouldn't be able to, obviously we wouldn't be able to help, and again there's a caveat to that, is in the event that the service provider requires for this person to go in, to physically walk into the building, show an ID, or drop off an application, or drop off a check for a deposit or something.
Is that still a thing? I mean, do people, are there?
You'll be surprised.
Really? Okay.
You'll be surprised. There's some states out there that have some counties that just don't haven't started using computers, I guess. I don't know.
Wow. Well, we have a second home up in the mountains in California, and they required me to come into the office to pick up a cable box, and I was just like, and it's an hour away, so I'm just like, are you kidding me? This is so archaic.
Yep.
But, so I guess that's kind of an example of that.
That's an example of that. That definitely still happens. But even in those situations, we obviously can't walk into an office ourselves, right, to help. So we'll at the very least let that resident know, Mr. or Mrs., this is where you need to go. Here's the address. Here's a phone number. Here's maybe the application that you need to submit, and so you might want to fill it out beforehand. So we'll give them everything that they need so they can just go and not have to wonder about where they're going or what they need to do. So we'll provide them with all of that ahead of time. In the case of deposits, and that was really your question, we can absolutely help with that. And there is when we're on the phone with this resident, there's obviously some regulations that we have to read out, that our agents have to read out to the resident, so they know that as we're collecting this data, that they know it's secure, right? So we can absolutely collect that deposit on their behalf and submit that payment directly to the provider. But if for some reason they just don't feel comfortable doing that, then we will email them or text them everything that they need. Again, that link that'll take them straight to where they need to submit that deposit, if it's a credit card that they're going to use or whatever. And they can do that while they're on the phone with us, if they're at that point in the day where they can just fill out that information, submit it, and then we can continue with the rest of the services if that's what they want to do. Yeah.
Okay, and I guess if they're not comfortable, I mean, they could still hook up their water and their electric and all those other services and say, you know what, I got this on my cable or Wi-Fi or whatever it is. Because it occurs to me that, before move-in, they probably don't have access to the property to let the cable guy in anyway, right? So there's going to have to be some tenant interaction, I would think, in scheduling the appointment.
There is going to be, and there's going to be some, yes, definitely some scheduling. And so we also help with that, so that they may not want that cable provider or technician to show up the day right after they moved in. Maybe that's just not going to work for them. They're still trying to get settled in. So we coordinate that with them and for them, so that the installation of whatever service takes place when they want it, when they're more comfortable with it.
Some tenants bring their account with them too. I know DirecTV, which is I guess AT&T now, they allow the transfer of an account. Can you guys assist with that, or is that pretty much up to the tenant themselves to?
No, we can absolutely help with that. And here's the best part about that is that let's just say that they're planning on just transferring their service over. This actually happens a lot, where the resident may not know that maybe they're no longer under contract for, let's just say, internet or cable. And they're thinking, well, all I'm going to do is contact the cable company or the internet company and just have them transfer it. But if we get on the phone with them, if they speak to us, we could look into those details. And if they're no longer on the contract, then it always allows us the opportunity to maybe put them into a different package at a better rate, at a better price, and that kind of stuff. So it does happen a lot. We can absolutely transfer, and that's okay. We welcome those because again, we can assist them, and maybe even save them some money.
Do you get any volume discounts because you're calling these guys a lot, like AT&T or Spectrum, or I don't know? There's probably a bunch across the country.
There is a bunch across the country, and yes, we absolutely. So because we have, due to our contract, we have contracts in place with these providers across the country. So we definitely get better pricing, even sometimes at those advertised on different medias. But yeah, we have those.
That's interesting because I make the practice of probably not so much at home because I don't have as much time at home, but with the business, I make the practice of every year, like in January, I'm looking over the budget and I make a call to our internet and phone, VoIP provider and just say, okay, I know things have changed. What can you do for me this year? And with the goal of trying to, carve 10, 15% out of the fee
Sure.
or the monthly service.
But you'd be surprised how many people don't do that. Yeah. And again, their contract has expired, but they continue to pay that high price. But we can
they're on some legacy service. Yeah. Like
exactly.
At home, I still have the Genie box or whatever that doesn't work very well. It's probably been in for 8 years. So, okay. So the big question, how much does this cost for either the property manager, the landlord, or the tenant?
Sure. So the answer is very simple. The service is free to the resident. It's free to the property manager, and it's free to the owner. So that's the easy answer, right? It's an easy question. The follow-up question is always, well, then who pays for this? And
right? Yeah. How do you guys get paid? I mean, that's the question. Yeah.
That's exactly it. So yes, our service is completely free across the board to, again, the property manager, the owner, and the resident. The way we make our money is on the additional, or what we call the ancillary services. So water, gas, and electricity, again, are the foundation of the concierge service. So we don't make any money on those. And yes, there is times when we assist a resident with just those services, and they just decide they don't want to help with the others. It is what it is.
Kind of comes with the territory if you're going to
Exactly. So we make our money on the other services: internet, cable, satellite, security, and so forth. And they pay us. And then we've developed a revenue share program where we then we have ancillary revenue that we share with the property management company for using our service.
Do you only deal with property managers, or do you deal with individual landlords as well?
We deal with a little bit of everything. Property management, sales in real estate. We help those as well. So there's nothing that impedes us from helping anyone, regardless of what block they fall into. But definitely I'd like to say that we our community is the property management industry, but we can absolutely help with the sales side, and we can help with even an owner that doesn't have.
I have a lot of investors that listen as well, right? Not just property managers, and so they I guess they could figure out whether it's a benefit to them to sign up, and you can help them make that decision. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's pretty clear to me the benefit for the renter, right? I show up on the day of my move-in. I know my power is going to be on, my gas, my water. I know my trash is probably arranged. I'm still getting the bills though directly at my property where I'm moving, right? You guys aren't getting involved in that aspect, correct?
Correct. All we're doing is assisting in getting the request for service set up on your behalf and making sure that the billing information is accurate and it's going to go to you.
Okay, so that benefit seems pretty clear. What about for the property manager? You mentioned the revenue share, so we get a little spiff on it, perhaps. I suppose you're taking the hassle of pushing all these buttons and pulling levers for the tenant or pointing them in the right direction. What are there? What are the other apparent benefits, I guess, for the property management company? Or did I already name them?
No. Well, actually, we have covered a lot of what the benefits are for the resident, and yes, there is a lot of them. But I'll touch on the benefits for the property management company, and they're very obvious. But until we start discussing them, then we'll understand. But so here's the thing: all property management companies will likely let that resident know you're responsible for your utilities before you move into your new home. And they may ask them to provide proof of that. They may not, but they do communicate at least that piece. Mr. or Mrs. Resident, you are now responsible for transferring these services over to your name before you can even move in, or however that might work.
Right.
Well, you provide that, you provide them with that direction in either a welcome email, an approval letter, some way. You let them know you're responsible for these things.
And you cross your fingers and hope they do it. I mean, that's kind of
exactly.
right? That's kind of how it works.
That's kind of how it works. So you give them that direction, and sometimes you may even go a step further and give them the information for the service providers in the area. You may tell them, this is the water provider for this particular county, or here's the electric provider for whatever. So you may go as far as doing that. Well, guess what happens? Move-in date comes around or gets closer, and they've suddenly forgotten all of that. And they start calling either you, the broker, or someone or your team. And they're calling or they're emailing and asking,
sometimes
who do I need to call for water?
Right. Sometimes frantically.
Yes. Who do I call for water? Who do I call for electricity? And so guess what? They start tying up your time or your team's, your staff's time, right? And so we are proactively, we're reaching out. We're not waiting for them to contact us. We're providing that experience way beyond that move-in date. And so that week comes around, that day before move-in comes around, and everything's good to go. They have peace of mind, and they're not calling you, emailing you, or your staff asking for these questions. So that's probably one of the most obvious benefits. But I'll be honest with you, even though that does touch on a pain point, I have to go back to the experience because let's be honest, we live in a world now where we want to, regardless of the business, some of us may really rely on those reviews. Some of us, and so to be able to have this service and offer it to your resident as a free service that's going to help them save time, save money, and you go down the list. It just makes for that experience. And so that's really I would put it right there hand in hand with the pain point that property managers experience with utilities now. I would put the experience right there at that same level because again, we want to provide you, the property manager, the property management company wants to provide a great experience. Because guess what? If that doesn't happen, we all know we're gonna see a review somewhere where it's gonna say, well, I didn't get this, I didn't get that, or some kind of a negative review. But imagine if we're reaching out and right from the get-go, if we're able to welcome them and say, hey, we're here to assist you and walk them through that process, that just right away makes for for good feeling. And so that goes back to us feeling like we're an extension of your business, because at the end of the day, it's you providing that experience. And I kid you not, we're very proud of our reviews, and every time that we help a resident, they say one of these two things. It's either, I wish I would have known of this service the last time that I moved, or I'm just so thankful that my PM gave me this service. They always go back and credit the property management company for giving them this free service.
Yeah, and as a tenant, I feel appreciated and like you're taking care of me and you're kind of setting me up for a successful move-in. That's fantastic. So, okay, so you alluded earlier, we talked about the renter scenario. If I'm a renter, kind of how it works, and you alluded earlier to receiving information from the property manager. So if I'm on the property management side and I just signed a lease, and I'm assuming I have to kind of virtually flip a switch or push a button for you guys to know that, hey, we got this new tenant, time for you guys to jump into action. How does that happen? How does that take place?
That's also very easy. So we have it's one of two ways, depending on what software company you're using or software provider you're using for your property management company. There's some softwares that we've got integration with. So very easy. We could communicate information back and forth that way. If it happens to be a software company that we don't have integration with, and it's still pretty simple.
We have the
Not gonna,
company that doesn't play well with others. You
uh,
know, you know who I'm talking about, don't you? Yeah.
I know who you're talking
Company
about.
A. That's all. We'll just go there. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that's it.
kidding, but they're kind of, yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll create a portal for the property management company,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very simple. And we'll provide you with that link. You can bookmark that link. You could add it to your favorites, whatever you want to do. But you can just have it ready and available so that when you do have an approved new resident before they're moving, once you have an approved resident, you can submit their information through that portal over to us. And we make it. We don't want to create more work for the property manager, right? So we've made this as simple as possible. There's 6 fields in that portal of just contact information that we need for that resident. You push the submit button, comes over to us, and again, we get to work. And so it's that process is super simple. It always absolutely helps when that property manager has made that soft introduction through everything that we provide, whether it be the verbiage or the short 40-second video that says we're CHS, provided to you by so-and-so, and we're here to assist.
I got to tell you, you know, as the property, as the owner of the property management company of North County Property Group and the broker, I mean, it just gives me peace of mind that I know someone is in the background working on this, and that I'm not going to get a emergency call on Saturday or Sunday morning saying, "Hey, I arrived at my property and my power's not on," or, you know, "Hey, you guys screwed up," when actually it was probably their fault. Whatever, you know, the case might be. That's
Yeah,
kind of what I referred to. You know, in a joking way, is the blackout, right? You get to the
that's
property and
right.
there's
That's
no
right.
power, which is really frustrating. And worse yet is when we discover perhaps a month later, when we get a nasty gram from an owner who says, "Hey, what up? You know, you moved in this tenant into my property and I'm still getting the power bill. What did
Yeah.
you guys
Yeah.
do? And how did you drop the ball?" I mean, those are always embarrassing situations too.
Oh,
Now,
absolutely.
doesn't
Absolutely.
happen a
And
lot, Peter, but it has. I mean, I'll admit it does happen. And when it does, you know, kind of have egg on our face, and apologies have to be kind of profusely made around the table to everybody.
absolutely. And you're right. It does happen. And I'll touch a little bit on the blackout situation. Uh, it, well, I wouldn't be able to even put a number on it as far as how many times it's happened, but it does happen. So we do everything that we need to do on our end. Everything has been submitted. The resident has even gotten confirmation of that service request, maybe an email that says, "Hey, your service is due to be activated on this date for this property." And then they open the door and guess what? There's no electricity or something. So it does happen very, very, very rarely. But even if it does happen, that we always encourage that resident to reach back out to us, and we'll get on the phone. We'll start making phone calls. We'll start doing whatever we need to do to figure out what happened and get them taken care of. So again,
Yeah.
our service goes beyond the okay, you moved in and thank you. No, we're still there to assist even beyond that point.
Yeah, because sometimes if like, I know in our region, if power has not been on previously and it gets turned on, somebody's got to go to the electric meter and push a little button. I mean, it seems
Yeah,
silly, but it does
yeah,
happen. So they might get there
yeah.
thinking that they don't have power, and all they got to do is go to the side of the building and push
Exactly,
on the button.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, this has been fantastic. Hey, I love to tell stories. I'm just kind of that person. No long-winded stories, you know, like, but
Yeah.
about myself or about unique things that have happened. I always ask my guests. I'm hoping you'll share something, some story that has had an impact on your life, or perhaps, you know, with the way you are today as a person and a businessman.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll share this. So Citzen Home Solutions has we have a Facebook community of property managers. It's a group. It's called the PM Health Group. Property managers, obviously, Property Management Health Group. I'll tell this story because it's not just the way that it's influenced me or what it's done for me, but I love to see what that community of property managers are doing for each other. So it's a Facebook group that really focuses on helping each other be healthy, eating properly, exercising daily, but also enjoying life with, you know, your spouse, your children, your family, your pet, whoever that might be.
So it
So
gets into mental health too,
it gets into mental health.
not just your
Absolutely.
weight or your physical health. Interesting.
Absolutely. So, and we discuss maybe an audiobook or a book that that maybe a property manager has found to be inspiring or educational. So we touch on different areas of health, mental health, physical health, and just well-being. So we put that group together about a year and a half ago, about a year ago. It just started with just a couple of us just getting on there and discussing exercise habits, routines, and eating habits and stuff like that. And shortly after, people, friends, partners in property management started reaching out and asking, how is so-and-so losing weight? What are they doing? What are they exercising? What gym are they going to? What kind of routine do they have? And this became, honestly, it became a weekly thing where I was getting emails or text messages of property managers across the country just asking, what is going on, that there's some folks that are, again, looking healthier and making some changes in their life. So it started with that, and then it grew to a nice community of property managers that every day focus on health and on supporting each other, holding each other accountable, because as you can imagine, they're very competitive. So they hold each other accountable, and but they really support each other. And that could be through, we've done different events throughout the year. Even this year, that's been as you already know, a very, very different kind of year. We've put on different,
yeah, I mean,
completely different. But we've put on different events. We've put on a 5K. We've put on a 10K. We've put on a mental challenge for the month of August. So we do different events throughout the year. And I'll tell you again, it's not necessarily about me, but I love to hear their stories. The property managers telling each other, telling us that they find a good, positive atmosphere, environment within this Facebook group. So if you're a property manager, I invite you to join us. Again, it's the PM Health Group in Facebook.
I'm going to join today. I already told you I had a significant weight loss about a year ago, and now have the quarantine 15 going, but I'm going to get back on it. And I like the part about the accountability, right? Because, I don't know. In my household, it's tough for me personally, and this is a personal thing, to look to my family members for that accountability, because it just gets a little too personal. I mean, I want it to be this is for me. I want it to be my thing, and I want it to be kind of my drive and focus. And I've been successful with it in the past, but having someone who you're accountable to, whether it be a group, a friend, your doctor, a personal trainer, whatever that is, I've found really helpful. Okay. So
yeah.
If I'm probing too deep, I mean, what has it done for you? Is there a personal aspect of the group that's made some changes for you? Can I ask?
So yeah, absolutely. So it did start off, as I mentioned, it did start off as something personal, because I ended up at a doctor's visit one day, with about 2.5 years ago now, I guess. And doctor obviously said, at the time I said, you've got to make some changes, overweight and a couple other things. And I did. I felt like I had to, and I had to commit to it. Yeah. And so 65 pounds later,
wow,
here I am.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I can remember our office building here, and this is kind of just fun to talk about, right? I always park in the parking lot at the very lowest level, just so I can climb up the 2-3 flights of stairs to get to our office. And I can remember when I was going through my weight loss, I guess this was early summer last year. And there was just one day in particular I can remember where I was just jamming up the stairs, and I got up the top and I realized that was different. I was like, wow, okay, what have I been doing all this time when we've been in this building when I was carrying all this extra weight around?
Exactly.
Hey,
we'll be so happy to have you and welcome you. And I'm sure you're going to see friends reach out and welcome you in the group.
I'm sure there's a bunch of people in there that I know. So
yes, and just ready to celebrate any accomplishments, because again, it's a great community. There's people that are posting and commenting and sharing things within that group that they've flat out said that they would never share outside of that group, because again, the relationships, the accountability factor and all that. So we'd be happy to have you.
I mean, perhaps the embarrassment, dare I say shame associated with some of those things that you've struggled with, so. Hey, that's a cool story. I really appreciate you sharing,
Thank
and
you. Thank you.
makes a positive contribution to my little group that I've got here, and called Property Management Brainstorming. Congratulations!
Yeah.
You're now a brainstormer too, because you
Well, thank you.
show. So you can.
That's awesome.
I should give little lapel pins that say I'm a brainstormer.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Hey, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show
Well, thank
today.
you.
I'd love to continue, but we need to wrap up. We're both really busy guys.
Absolutely.
Any last words or tips or input? And how could somebody get a hold of Citzen Home
Sure.
Services if somebody wanted to?
Sure. So what I'd encourage everyone to do, that we have pmcpartner.com is our website. That website is specific to property management. pmcpartner.com. You'll find very to the point information about what we do, again, just to kind of recap. But you'll see some testimonial videos. So your peers, property managers across the country, letting other property managers know exactly why they use the service, how it's benefited their business, and so forth. So there's a qualification form that you just need to fill out on the ready to start section, and we'll get you qualified and get you set up with someone in our team to do a discovery call or an onboarding call. And very simple, pmcpartner.com.
Cool. I will put that web link in my episode notes for the show, so that'll be
Awesome.
out there. And hey, thanks so much, Peter. Great episode. I love the service and what it represents. We're in the process of signing up, which is what led to this podcast episode today. So I'm really excited that you're now in San Diego and that we've finally been able to connect. Thanks so much for taking your time out of your schedule to do the show. And as we wrap up today, I'd like to make another quick plug to our listeners to please click on subscribe and give us a like too. Pay it forward with a positive review so that more guests like Peter, who's been great for coming on, will come on the show in the future. And that concludes today's episode. Thank you so much for joining the Property Management Brainstorm Show. Until next time, we will be in the field working hard for our clients at North County Property Group to keep their properties managed well and maintain top tenant relations. And we'll see you next time.